You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Wait. Don't do it, Cartman. Wait. I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants.
Want to kill all humans?
Work there, dude.
We'd like some money.
Yeah, money.
Money is cool.
Aren't you ashamed? 10-6-9er, we got whores on the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my god! The government is here! Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
I have it on very good authority that it was something significantly more than just a hang.
Well, yeah, we did some. We had to reshoot one thing for Portrait Paper. Also, the audio's back on, so yeah, YouTube can hear me now. But yeah, we reshot one thing of Portrait of Payback. I don't want to say what it is. I don't want to spoil it. But we shot a thing, and in the cut it works, but it doesn't. But we looks like we faked it. And in reality, we didn't fake something. And this guy got hurt for real, and he was willing to get hurt again to get the shot better, to sell it better. So if someone's willing to do that again, it's like we're gonna do it again. So
taking bumps.
Yeah. So all for the great art of cinema. I forgot to put a Space Ghost photo up there. See, this is also a new thing because now I got to add a photo of what we're watching. I didn't add it, but yeah. So that was a lot of fun, man. Always shooting stuff with Steeler, then him showing up in his full Steeler Wick suit, just popping in. It just brings me so much joy.
As well it should. And he's already here in the chat. Speak of the devil and up he pops, right? Like, speak of the devil, there he is.
And he crushed it, man. And then afterwards, we all hung out. We had lunch. We watched them. Dwayne showed us a couple of B-horror movies, some other 80s movies. And it was a blast, We all hung out and made something fun.
That's amazing. I literally cannot wait to see this finished product.
Soon, hopefully in like February. That's like our end goal. So like it's this close. It's like a fraction of weight. You know, it's just sound and color and all those fun effects. So that's where we're at. So we're almost there. It's like literally the tail end of it.
The home stretch.
The home stretch. We're so close. We're so close. And then we'll have some awesome stuff to announce. But hell, that's my day, man. I said other than that, still fucking unemployed, but hey, you know, living life. So other than that, it's been boring and it's cold. I'm assuming it's cold by you guys, but it's fucking cold out here. It's been snowing, then it's not snowing, then snowing. Everything's just ice. Like literally everything around us here in New York is just literally frozen ice. It's not even snow. It's just solid
So
ice everywhere.
What happens to you guys? Like in the South, for us, we have to drive everywhere, so we're just kind of fucked. Like nobody ices, plows, anything. And what happens with you guys? You walk everywhere. Do they?
I mean,
do
the
they
cities
clear the sidewalks?
Yeah, the city's pretty good with that. I mean, right now our sidewalks are pretty icy, so I mean, it really depends where you are. But I know the roads, they're pretty much like on it, like pretty fast. And then a lot of stores, they just sprinkle salt everywhere on the fucking sidewalks. Though right now it's still fucking ice. But I mean, for the most part, it's fine. I mean, it goes away. New York City handles it pretty well. So the subways usually keep running, which is great. They usually doesn't fuck with the subways. So yeah, it's been so far good.
Because here we've been dealing with something quite similar. This Arctic blast stuff has definitely affected us. On the
This shit's for the
14th,
birds.
it's insanity. So on the 14th, my birthday, we got a snow that lasted into the night, and it packed up, and today, as we were getting ready to record, was the first day my road got plowed.
Oh,
First day
wow.
my road got plowed. Yeah.
Damn, that's rough.
So
Yeah.
my road has not been plowed. And
Wow.
this has been since the night of the 14th. And we just got more ice tonight.
Yeah, so how's it going
Oh.
on your end, Liz? How's it hanging for you this past week?
It's like The Shining in my house. Everybody's right. Or like The Thing. It's more like that. We're all paranoid. Everybody's scared. You know, we don't know what we're doing. We're about to start testing blood in petri dishes. It's bad.
So
But you also have like 37 people living with you. So
Well, right now, just Brandon and my two kids. But
got it.
even at that, I mean, thank God we have two different floors. So we can all be separate and not kill each other.
So how are you guys able to get out without the plow? You know, without plowing your streets or driveway?
Nothing. Got nothing. We had some groceries delivered at the bottom of our dead end street.
Oh my
We live
god.
up a hill, so nobody can go up the hill. So Brandon had to go down and meet the delivery driver, and it was just it's bad, and I think we're probably going to be stuck this way at least until Saturday, if not Sunday.
Oh man, that's rough. I'm just imagining Brandon just like putting on this like thick, you know, fucking coat with those like snowshoes that look like tennis rackets, having to like go down to pick up the groceries.
The little kid from A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Lost his brother. Basically.
Waddling with his arms out to his side and deep into things. Yeah.
This sucks. I don't know how you guys do this all the time, James, because it is not for me. And I do not like heat. Don't get me wrong, but I cannot do
Yeah, I'm a
large
summer guy,
amounts of
man.
snow.
I'd rather be hot than ever deal with snow in winter and cold. I mean, Dwayne's in the chat. He'll tell you when we shot a couple weeks ago in the fucking overnight in the cold. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate the snow. I hate the cold. I want to be somewhere where it's warm all the time.
Well, it used to be that way here.
Yeah, so I was surprised you guys even are getting this cold, because I always thought Tennessee was like one of the warmer states.
We usually
Dude.
have pretty mild winters. I don't think I've had a winter like this since I was middle school. Or do you remember that, Ben? Were you here? when we had that blizzard in the
That's like
90s.
95, 96. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was one of the worst things ever because it was like probably similar to this in that it was like 4 to 6 inches of snow, something like that. So everything's blanketed already. And then right behind it, like literally on the heels, you're like, ah, fuck, snow's done. Like the next morning, it comes an ice storm. So on top of all of that snow, and it wasn't like it is right now. Like right now out here, I also love how this podcast has become weather talk.
I mean, we
It's
talk.
one of my
If
favorite-
you go back to like episode 1, all we've done is talk about weather and cartoons.
it is what it is. You're right. But at a certain point, though, like right now, there's like a thin coating of ice on top of stuff, right? And depending on whatever, this will go away quickly. But in like 95, 96, when that thing hit, it was seriously like an inch of ice coating everything. And
Electricity was out. Everything was crazy.
you had branches snapping, you had trees falling, power lines down. Like it was messed up. But what I always tell people is we get like usually one good snow a year up here, right? And when I lived in Westmoreland would usually get it a little worse because it's up on a ridge, right? So it's sort of hit or miss. We don't ever have like long snows, and that's the other thing. It'll snow, kids will get out of school for a day. Next day they're literally back in because nothing sticks because it's been mild enough that it's sort of warm enough, and you'll just see like little remnants of shit hanging out. But this kind of shit locks us up bad.
But see, that's what it used to be like here, man. I mean, my whole life growing up in New York, like it was always the worst winters. Like between like January to like March, it was like we would have like at least 3 blizzards. Like it used to be crazy. And I don't know, the last like 5 years, it's just like not done anything. Like it barely snowed last year. It's so weird.
So I'm working in the office, and this was like the week before. Yeah, this was like last week before the snow, and it was either I want to say it was like Tuesday or Wednesday or something. I'm sitting in there, or maybe it was the week before. Anyway, everybody was talking about this shit coming up because the news had already predicted it. Whatever. There's a guy sitting in the office, and he's talking to one of the ladies that works with us. And he goes, yeah, that Al Gore jinxed us with his damn global warming bullshit. And I was rolling. It's all I could do. I had to go back into the back room and like stifle my laughter because sure, Al Gore invented global warming. The Democrats did this to us. You're right, buddy. You're absolutely
Those goddamn liberal Democrats giving us all this snow.
right. Bullshit.
Welcome to Tennessee, James.
He sounded, and it's like, it wasn't even a thing where you know he was just saying it. This man believed this. Like he, in his heart, it's Al Gore's fault that global warming exists, that climate change is real. Like it's his fault.
We heard it here. It's Al Gore's fault we're dealing with all this weather. Totally Toonular exclusive.
Dropping those hard truth bombs on a Thursday night, bro. That's
Well, Ben, how's it hanging on your end? Like you said, it's your birthday. You got a fresh shave going. It's like I got a new co-host here
I
tonight.
cleaned up nice for you guys. That's what it was. No, it was good, man. It was really good. So, the day of the 14th, like, got up. I got some prezzies from the family in the Amazon boxes. So I spent the morning opening up some Amazon boxes. That was nice. I've been hanging out with Dan a lot.
Hey.
Our wonderful sponsor, Big Dan.
Yeah, the Big Dan live chat.
And he got me hooked. He got me hooked on the griddle out at his shop. So a couple weeks ago, I went and bought one. I cooked up some sausage on it one day, and then I kind of left it. But I kept telling Jen, I was like, well, I'm going to cook for my birthday. I want to cook, and I want to cook out on the griddle. I know what I'm going to do. What I want to do is do like some fajita fixins, right? So sauteed up some onions and some peppers on there, and then we got some chopped up like little flank steak or whatever, and then like a few chicken thighs. Put those out there. So rewind just a little bit, just a little bit. We go out
Rewind.
that day because it was getting kind of boring around the house. Didn't have a lot planned. Weren't going out to do anything major, and I just wanted to get out of the house. So I tell Jen, I was like, you know what? Like I'm a mall kid. I've always been a mall
Hell
kid.
yeah.
Why don't we just go out to Opry Mills and we'll just walk around the mall for a while? We'll get our fucking steps in. You know, it's too cold for the dogs to be out for a long time. Let's just go. We'll people watch. We'll hang out. It'll be great.
Get some food at the
So-
food court, you know, all that mall stuff.
Well, no, we're still, you know, eating proper. I can't pack in those calories.
Oh, no Cinnabons at the mall.
Oh my God. But yeah, we did stand outside of Cinnabon and just sniff for a while. That's very much a thing that we did. Stand there and look at all those people and just be very envious. So walk up to a stranger and sniff the food in their hand.
Just give me a sniff,
and then
just a little
move
bit,
away.
just a little sniff, just a second.
Just come
let
on,
me
buddy.
lick it. Let me
Let me
lick
let me
one.
just waft. Let me waft it over. So we're walking around and like I'm obviously like a big Lego guy, and Opry Mills has one of the full blown like Lego stores, but I didn't want to spend a bunch of money. I'm not really like a Disney guy, but I have my Disney character and it's Goofy, right? I love Goofy.
Aw.
He's my favorite. So I go in and I'm looking around, and there's a keychain, a little Goofy keychain. And I was like, fuck it, I'll get myself this Goofy minifig keychain for my birthday. Walked up to the counter. I'm talking to the guy out there, and he's like, you gotta bear with me, man. Our internet's slow. And I was like, oh, I get that. Yeah. It must be a busy day. And he's like, no, man, it's you know, the grid is going down. It's happening, man.
It's Y2K.
Like, that's what it felt like. So he says to me, he goes, yeah, man, that storm's coming. And I was like, I poo-poo everything. I was like, whatever. That's just what they're telling me to keep you scared, man.
That's what
Don't
the
worry
liberals
about
are saying.
Yeah, the liberals are telling you. Al Gore is going to make it snow. So fucking, I get there and I'm talking to, no, that's just a bunch of crap, dude. Don't worry about it. It's fine. No, man, it's already hit Memphis. They got 2 inches on the ground and it's moving this way. And I was like, what? So I tell Jen when I get out of there, I was like, Lego Man's freaking out about the weather. Maybe we should get home. And she's like, whatever. And then we're walking around, we check our weather app, and sure as shit, it's getting close. And it says it's like an hour and a half away. So we beat feet back to the house, prep everything to go outside. Temperature has taken a massive drop at this point, but I am dead set on making my fajita stuff. So fire up the griddle, get all my stuff out there. It is now 24 degrees outside.
Oh my God.
Now 24 degrees outside. And I'm sitting there, I'm bundled up. I got this thing fired up. I'm heating up the ends of my fingers over it while I'm cooking.
So, I mean, that's the best part, having the grill, right? You can warm yourself up while you're cooking.
While you're up over it. So mixed up some fajita stuff. Jen, because we are watching the calorie stuff, she usually makes me a cheesecake for my birthday. So this year, she made me... Pardon me, I got phlegmies. She made me these little cupcakes, cheesecake cupcakes that were peanut butter with a chocolate Teddy Graham crust for the bottom. So it's, and then like a little chocolate shell on top. So it's like a cheesecake peanut butter cup. And it was fucking tits, dude.
Yeah, that
like,
sounds
it was
awesome.
so good. It was so good. So good. Ate way too many of those. Did
you get like a
Didn't
sugar
count.
rush from not having that much like sugar in a while?
To the point like your lips start tingling. You know what I mean? It was very good. It was wonderful. And then we just ate, hung out, kept it very low key. It was a very nice birthday. It was very, very mellow. I loved it. Now, the next day, my week has been crazy. I'm not even
Damn.
playing.
Well, keep it going. Why was
Mellow
it crazy?
birthday. But the next day, we wake up, ground's covered, 7 inches out there. Jen's getting bummed out because she's got to catch a plane on Tuesday, right? So it's Monday. I go out because I get into like fix it mode, right? Because she's like, what am I going to do? The snow's going to be here. We're not going to be able to get out, blah, blah, blah. It hadn't packed down on the road yet. So I go into fix it mode. And Liz, you haven't been here yet. We'll get you out here soon enough so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. James, I don't know if you remember, but the road that's up the hill from me, that sort of main roadish thing, and then there's the connector that connects you to the highway. Off the side of that little connection road, it's called South Tunnel, there's a little inlet where the sheriffs will park, and then where the ambulances will park, and then where city employees park when they're all like taking their smoke break that nobody knows about, right? So what I did is I took her car, because we had to leave at like, we were going to leave it at around 2:30 to get out to the airport because she needed to be there by 3:30 in the morning for her 5 a.m. flight. All right. Now, I take her car up there because at the very least, I know that we can get out from that spot when we need to get out to take her to the airport. There's no way we were going to get the car up the hill after a couple of people had driven on it, after it had re-iced, all of that stuff. There's just no way it was going to happen. So I park us up there. Fast forward, now it is 1 a.m. The roads are trash, absolute trash. Ice, slipping, sliding, the whole nine, even on the highways. They'd barely gotten the plows out at all, right? No salt, no anything. They spritz that bullshit de-icer that they spritz, you know, just so the guys have something to do for a day before it comes. And it affects nothing.
It makes more ice.
So we pack out from the house, 1:15, get up to where we're at, load her in. It's now like 1:35 in the morning. I got no sleep because she was tossing and turning because she kept checking the weather and everything. She got no sleep. Nobody's sleeping. 2 hours to get to the airport.
Shit.
Because we're having,
And that's normally what,
like
a
35,
30-minute drive? Like normally?
45.
45, yeah.
45.
So still, 2 hours. That's fucked up.
2 hours. Then I drive back home. Now, Jen's at the airport. Her whole day is fucked. Gets on the plane. They take it out. They de-ice it. Turns out there's an engine problem. They pull the plane back in, off board everybody. 2 hours goes by. They finally get ready to go and take off again. Fucking de-icer is now clogged. It's another like hour and a half, 2 hours. She's sitting on the fucking runway. She was in and out of the airport like twice. Finally gets up in the air, ends up in Dallas, misses all of her connection flights. There's not another one headed out to Portland until the next morning. So now she's got to spend the night in Dallas, completely unexpected.
Did they give her a hotel or did she have to just stay in the airport?
No, she had to get her own hotel. They don't even do that anymore.
Wow.
Dude. When I was a kid, like if you were an adult and the flights were canceled, they would usually put you up in a room. They don't even do that anymore. It's crazy. But anyway, she ends up getting back to the airport the next morning, and then her Dallas flight is fucked going to Portland. There's another like hour and a half delay. She finally got there like a day and a half after she was supposed to.
Wow.
Yeah. And get this, you know, with everything going on down here, it all depends on what goes on. But she literally comes in sometime on Sunday. So I'm hoping that there are no challenges. When she got to Portland, though, best part. This is how fucked everything is. There was snow on the ground and an ice storm had started there. So she flew into an ice storm. Yep.
Dang.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she's straight up making her trip pretty much like coast to coast almost. Almost coast to coast.
Oh.
But yeah. That's the closest I can get. There's no real good way to work in a Space Ghost.
Well, that's what we're talking. Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It was your pick, Ben, for your birthday.
Always. Yes.
This is your pick, Coast to Coast. So yeah, I mean, let's start with you, man. What made you pick this show?
I cannot think of a more perfect show. I mean, it's that simple. Everything from concept to just like the actual slice at a time that this is. So it's one of those things where like I look at it, and from even the first episode, there are comedians, there are entertainers that show up in this program that you would never expect on a Cartoon Network show, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like from the pilot on, the level of talent they were able to bring in, these alt comedians, all these alternative musicians, even people like the fucking Ramones, like well-established, like high-quality folks, to come in and do this goofy, weird improv show that basically is repurposing old animation with new physical sets.
Yeah.
because that's the thing. The Space Ghost set, that actual set that he sits at, is a miniature. It's a miniature. It's built out.
Okay,
Like,
I
it's a
didn't
real
know
thing.
that. I know I've saw some of the miniatures with like the outside space stuff, like with the fucking meteors or whatever, the comets, and they were
The Ghost Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that brings up two things I want to ask too. So like first, I love the idea that someone was like, oh, there, because we're working for Cartoon Network, we have this library of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Let's take this old cartoon that nobody even fucking remembers and completely repurpose it to this goofy talk show. Like, I think that's such a genius, cool idea to make a show of.
So inside of the first season, there are a few episodes where one in particular, he brings on the author of the guy who's talking about the war for late night, right? When it was Letterman versus Leno versus, I think Conan was showing up in there, all of this stuff, right? So War for Late Night was a huge thing after Carson left, but it's also a very niche, specific, like slice at a time. Now, Cartoon Network is going into this being like, oh, we need our own late night talk show host, right? Who is vying for his opportunity to be the king of late night. And they made it so quirky and so counterculture, but it hits all of those super high notes for what a talk show is, right?
Yeah.
They've got the house band. They've got the technical director in Moltar who's sitting there, queuing in the guests. They've got their little characters on the side. Everybody's got their voice, and to me, something like that, it's such a wonderful parody. And then they start hitting it as the show builds out, like a little bit more with those side characters, and we see more of what goes on in the studio, which is also a wonderful parody of an existing parody, the Larry Sanders Show.
Ah. So it's a parody.
Did you ever
on a
watch the
parody.
Larry Sanders Show?
No.
Liz?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Liz has got your back. I have no idea what that show is.
Well, I'm an old fart, and I'm a Gary Shandling fan.
Gary Shandling was a king, an absolute king of comedy. So the Larry Sanders Show is, I want to say it's an HBO show, and it was a spoof of a late night talk show. So Larry Sanders was like a Leno, was like a Letterman, and sort of like in Space Ghost, you would have the bits where he's like interviewing people, and then they would take you out into the studio, right? Howard Stern's Hey Now actually comes from the Larry Sanders Show, because Larry's sidekick was a guy named Hey Now Hank, And at the start of the show, and it was like his punch thing. Whenever Larry would make a comment, he would go, "Hey now, hey now." That's how he would accent the jokes or whatever. But he was like the Ed McMahon. So anyway, Space Ghost hits all of those notes like the Larry Sanders Show, but does it in 10 minutes less time. I mean, I don't know. Those are things to like really kind of equate it to. And like in the mid 90s, like late night was the thing because we weren't so scattered. We weren't so
I mean, late
scattered.
night was a thing until, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. I would say it started going down.
With the absolute like permeation of like streaming into culture is when I feel like late night really sort of took like a big dive, you know?
Yeah.
Because part of it was, if I remember right, part of it was the idea of like, if you fall asleep on NBC or if you're watching the news on NBC, do you flick over to Letterman on CBS, right? So they're watching who's flicking from what news channel to what late night shows. And then the idea of like falling asleep with Letterman or whatever versus either Leno or Carson, all of that stuff, you know, was a real thing. And that's when the Nielsen ratings were still like the height of like how you gauge watches. Yeah. I
mean, I like late night television. I watched a lot of Conan. That was always like my favorite one.
Well, and Conan was the thing that when I was a kid, I remember watching like a lot of Conan. I can't remember the first episode that I saw, but what sealed it for me, and when I was like, oh, well, this is my show. This is the show for me. There were two moments. Masturbating Bear. First time I saw that, I'm like, I'm never changing the channel again. But then there was a Christmas episode way back in the day. They had Dweezil and Ahmet Zappa on, Frank's two boys, right?
We can't go an episode without Zappa coming back into the fold. I love it.
In some way, shape, or form.
Some
right?
Zappa, yes.
So what ends up happening though is he's got Dweezil and Ahmet on, and they had a band in and around the mid '90s called Z, and they were promoting a record called Shampoo Horn, but it was during Christmas time, and Conan asked him, you know, hey, your dad Frank, you know, he's this musical innovator, wacky guy known as a freak, and all this stuff. How were Christmases at your house? Were they like fairly traditional or whatever? So they start talking about what they would do, and I think it's Ahmet was talking. No, it's Dweezil. Dweezil's talking about how they went in and like in the neighbors' yards with plastic forks because they lived in California, and no snow. They would go and they would take plastic forks and write things like "Santa is dead" in the neighbors' yards. With plastic forks. Then he starts to recount the one time that they both came down the steps on Christmas Day, early Christmas morning, and there was Santa sitting in Dad's chair, but he wasn't Dad. And you know, Santa sitting there, and then they were like, and there was Mom, and Mom comes walking into the room in like her nightgown, and she kneels down in front of Santa, and then literally there is like a 45-second long bleep as Dweezil is describing all manner of disgusting and terrible sex acts that his mother is performing on Santa Claus. Ahmet freaks out beside him, is like freaking, he's holding his ears, he's like, he's yelling and screaming. He jumps over the back of the couch, of Conan's couch, puts on antlers and a red nose and grabs a microphone, and then literally like tumbles back over the couch and starts screaming Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer into this microphone as he's like flailing around on the ground. And it is one of the wildest things I ever saw on late night television. And again, I was hooked. I was like, this is my show. This is how I know. I love Conan O'Brien.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Triumph and Robert Smigel.
So that came a little later, and Triumph, like that's again, this is a thing where, you know, as these character shows build like that, yeah. And how can you not love Triumph? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Triumph is a national treasure. And then over the evolution of the show, when Triumph would go out to like the Star Trek convention and get the geeks loves wrong just to troll them, beautiful. It's absolutely brilliant. There was so much good on that show. But late night. And that's why I think this show works, is because, again, it knows its source material and the quality of guests that they were able to get. And that's the bigger question. That's the thing that I never looked at. I don't know if either one of you looked into it at all. What it feels like to me is that they would catch these people on like press tours, at least in the beginning, right? Is that, I mean,
That's what I assume. I
they
mean,
would catch these people on press tours, and they would catch these folks in the Turner Network fold too. That's a lot of how these guests came about.
because I thought at first that, when I first saw this show, that they were these interviews are already pre-recorded, and then they were editing it with whatever Space Ghost was saying, that they were never actually even talking to Space Ghost. But then as I was watching it, then they will answer Space Ghost. And I was always confused of how that even works. I mean, Liz, you know how...
It's surreal editing. And so a lot of it is that surreal editing to make it sound as wonky as it does. But they are actually interviewing. They are actually asking questions. Like, the guests were asked these questions to answer. But it's also edited to the point where sometimes it's made not to make sense.
Yeah. I like a lot of the awkward pauses they'll do sometimes, you know, where they'll say something and there's just like silence.
So, okay. And and so there's the thing, right? Like, and you can see it in some of it where, and I sort of felt the same way, like they were able to get some of the talking head interviews, or they may be going in with a different stack of questions depending on the caliber of the star, right? And maybe that person didn't necessarily know how it was going to get used, or how it was going to get chopped up, or how much of it was going to stay. And like a prime example is early on, they get Ashley Judd. She comes on in the last 30 seconds of an episode, and our next guest, Ashley Judd. She says like 2 words, and then they just bloop, cut out the rest of it. It's all gone. Show ends. It's over. and it's like little shit like that just makes me so happy in this. And then you get like longer form interviews where they're able to build out an entire episode around it. And one of those is it's Bat Mantis. Did you guys watch Bat Mantis?
No, I didn't see that one.
So
I
that's
don't think it was
Zorak
on.
at his finest.
Right. Right. And it's where they have Adam West and Lee Merriweather
Oh,
on.
damn. I wish I watched this episode.
Huh?
I wish I saw this one.
Well,
It's on the website that I sent too. That you can watch it for free on there. The banter between them and Lee Merriweather just absolutely kills me.
Can I call you Chicken Woman? I don't think I like that. I don't
She
think
didn't take shit either.
And so there's the thing, right? So as far as these interviews go, I think with someone like Adam West, they may have gotten like one question out, and then he goes on for like 30 minutes. And then they're able to just pluck and pull portions of that and then craft a script around that. But then you get like a Lee Merriweather, who those questions that they're asking, like, I feel like that's the questions they went into her with. You know what I mean? And because of the nature of improv in this, and because it's supposed to feel like a live interview, it makes me wonder if there were points in time where they had fully fleshed out questions, who was actually in on the bit, who did a very good job. Like
Like did the
when Bob
actors even know what Space Ghost was? You know, especially
Some
on these press tours, and they would ask people, like, did they even know it was gonna air on Adult Swim at like 11 o'clock or whatever?
there's a point to where I think they have to explain to them what it is because of how irreverent some of it is.
Yeah.
Like when he brings out his spank ray and he's fucking zapping Bob Odenkirk and David Cross in the face repeatedly. But those are two seasoned improv performers. Yeah. So they probably went straight in and were like, hey, we're kind of a new show. This is what we're doing. They may have seen an episode or two. And it's like, it's a little improv bits. And then I swear to God, this is what I think they would do, is they would come out with pictures of the characters. This is Zorak. This is Space Ghost. This is Moltar. These are the people you have to talk to. This is his job. This is his job. This is his job. You're primarily going to talk to this guy. And then I feel like the interviewer would hold up the picture and then read the questions. That's what I think happened.
And
That's
I feel like a lot of the actors, I bet a lot of the older ones would be confused. They'd be like, isn't that a cartoon from like my childhood?
Exactly. But then that also can endear you to like an Adam West, you know?
And you know what? The little sidetracking bit, recently, me and Chili Beans been watching a lot of commentary, like DVD commentary stuff. And I have the 66 movie with Batman, and it has audio commentary with Adam West and Burt Ward. And it is awesome. Like, they are just laughing the entire time. And they're just like, just loving just Batman and like the whole movie. It's so funny. Like when the shark comes out of the water and bites them, Adam West is just like, oh my God, it's a real shark. And then they just start like cracking up, you know?
So,
it's amazing.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but about Burt Ward, famously, massive penis.
Yeah, and you know what? Like they mention it in the commentary, but they make a joke about how Burt Ward's like, because apparently, so Batman has a bigger pole that they slide down than Robin does. And like Burt Ward says something like facetious about it, like, "Oh yeah, look, see, they give you the bigger pole," you know.
So yeah, and Liz, for the record, like this is legit Hollywood lore. If you look it up, they had to double up on Burt Ward's Robin panties to like mush down his junk because in just one pair of his tights, it was too aggressive to air.
He's a boy wonder, though.
Uh-huh. Oh, real boy wonder.
Ooh, that's very hard for me to. The only word that's coming to my head is swallow, and that makes it even worse. That makes it. It's very hard to swallow.
I think
And
that
that
makes
sounds
it
terrible.
10 times better, Liz.
I apologize to anyone that was listening to that.
I want to make that a soundbite.
So he but yeah, Burt Ward famously huge penis. Huge penis.
But yeah, but I wish I saw this Space Ghost Adam West, because after watching that commentary, I was like, man, this guy's he's funny. He knows how to like, talk on a microphone,
You've got to watch that Batmantis episode, and I think it's in season 1.
I think you're right.
It's one
it's
or
either
two.
season 1 or season 2. Yeah. And I know I sent you guys like this massively ridiculous list, and then I completely
I watched the list. That was as far as I only watched the list that you sent me.
Okay, good, because I didn't make it near through my list because I did the same thing I always do, which
It's
is
your
like
list.
I find like 4 or 5 that I like, and then sometimes I'll just leave it on. And then I also lost a whole day because of my internet being down. So
Well, I gotta say too, I was watching it on this fucking Sling app because I can stream it that way, and man, I fucking annoys the shit out of me, this fucking app, because it doesn't autoplay to the next episode. So and those episodes are like 10 minutes each. So I put it on, and then I have to go fucking find the episode again, like fucking play it every time. It drives me nuts. This app sucks.
it could be a better app.
And
It-
fuck
it
you,
could-
Max, for not having this on your fucking Max. Like, why are this
It
shit?
doesn't even make sense. They
Yeah.
have all this Adult Swim
Yeah.
catalog. Why do they not have that? Like there was that point where they shifted to the weird last few seasons of Game Tap streaming, but
Right.
that's still owned by Turner.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So what the heck?
I guess, I mean, it looks like they've been, because all their shit's kind of everywhere now on Tubi and Netflix. So I'm assuming they've just are like, liquidate. Everyone just give us money, put everything everywhere. But it fucking sucks. I mean, like you said, I tried watching Dexter Laboratory on New Year's, and that wasn't on Max. I was like, what are you people doing? You're just getting rid of your own content.
It is a
shame.
little like unnerving what shows up, what doesn't, what they take away, what
Yeah.
they put up. It doesn't feel like there's any rhyme or reason. And I think, and Liz, like you said, most of it's still available on the Adult Swim website,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's weird. For the longest time, all of South Park was free on the South Park website.
Yeah, I
And
remember
then that
that.
stopped being
That's how
a
I
thing.
started. That's how I watched South Park when I was younger. It was because it had all the episodes there.
Yep.
And now it's on Max, or the movie is on.
Paramount.
The other movie is on Paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah, the newer
so
movie.
weird. It's so weird.
Streaming Wars.
Literally, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. And that's the thing for a kid of the 90s, this show had everyone you could possibly want on it. Like Weird Al, Emo Phillips, fucking I just watched the Moby one again before we got started. It's the one where Space Ghost is eating all of his
guests. Yeah.
He's eating all of his guests. And then randomly, like I was walking around, I had played one, I'd gone to do some laundry, and I came back, and it was at the end of the Bjork episode. I don't think that one was on the list, but Space Ghost also had a way of like shutting down his guest that was great too. Okay. And with Bjork, it's he low key gets married to her because he doesn't understand Icelandic, and like he thinks they're married. And then he's like, all right, well, I have to go now. I have to go fight a war in space. And she's like, can I sing to you in Icelandic? And he's like, no. I have to go fight a war in space. You can come back when I get back from the space war. And it's just this dismissiveness that is absolutely hysterical to me. I don't know. It is beyond quirky and fun. It's just fun.
Now, did you guys ever
And
watch the original Space Ghost, like Hanna-Barbera show at all?
I've seen maybe one or two episodes. I've never really watched it.
I
Yeah.
went back and watched them when I was able to find them when I was in college. Actually, I had taped. This is how old I am. I had taped all of these episodes because when they first started airing, you really didn't know when they were going to come on. We were little kids trying to, sync this, and they would come on at what was it, like midnight or some shit. And you would have to, what I would do would leave a VCR tape, a videotape in, and record it and have it all night. So I would get that episode. So
Damn, so what is that, like a 10-hour videotape?
yeah,
That's
it's like garbage. But I saved all of these things for years later when I went to college, and I took these with me, and I would just get high at MTSU and watch these Adult Swim shows that I had taped when I was in middle school. Where was I going with this?
Well, did you see the
The
original?
original Space Ghost.
The original Space Ghost. So when I was in college and I was watching these, I was like, you know what? I really need to find these original Space Ghost cartoons. And video culture in Murfreesboro, which doesn't exist anymore, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which was right beside it was like a video rental store and a place where you could buy video that was right beside Middle Tennessee State University. I went in and asked those dudes because I would ask them about everything. And the guy was like, "Oh, I've got all of those here." And he gives me a couple tapes to watch, and I got to watch them all the way through. And they're serious. They're not that good.
Yeah.
It's hard to see these characters as serious characters, in this show because you're so used to it being so surreal and goofy.
Yeah. Now I had that same reaction because the first time I saw Space Ghost, like this show, Coast to Coast, I remember seeing like an ad for it, and I was like, "Oh, this is like some superhero show. I'm gonna check it out," and then being like very confused that it wasn't. It was this 10-minute talk show thing. But then I got into it, and then I remember like a couple of years after that, I think it was like when Boomerang, because I had cable, and there was like a Boomerang network or something like that. And I was like, oh, there's Space Ghost. So I go to watch it, and then it was the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. I was like, what the fuck? This is not Space Ghost. And it was then I realized that, having to go online, I was like, oh, the Space Ghost took all these animations. I had no idea that they were two separate shows.
And these
completely.
villains were villains.
Yeah.
In that show. Like, you don't want to see Brack with the Polynesian mask and all that being a bad guy with his space race, or you don't want to see Zorak being an actual bad guy.
Because the show just seemed like, I guess, any other generic, like, Hanna-Barbera kind of Super Friends, but with just a different
It definitely
face.
was.
There's another Space Ghost show that was showing up that I absolutely did not watch and know nothing about, but it's Space Ghost and Dino Kid.
I've never heard of that.
That I've never seen.
Yeah.
So I too was watching on Sling, and when I first searched Space Ghost on there, it was one of the things that also showed up next to Coast.
No.
So I have no idea.
No.
Maybe if there's anybody out there who knows Dino Kid, let us know.
There was a couple of shows they did this to, right? I mean, no, C Labs, right? That was also another show they repurposed. Was it Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law?
And Harvey Birdman started from, it was a serious show, but Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, started from the pilot episode of Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
So there's so many soft boots to come off of this show too, right? Like so many soft pilots.
Dwayne remembers the Dino Kid, apparently.
Aquatine.
I mean, that's arguably, I think that's the biggest, longest lasting one, right?
Yeah, that was a crazy episode because the Aquatine was nothing like the show at all. Like, they were literally a parody of a superhero group in Coast to Coast.
Do you know... Okay, so to touch back on Aquatine just a little bit, the voices for Frylock and Master Shake are the Moonanite voices that they use in the cartoon. They sound way closer to the Moonanites than they do, what we know Frylock and Shake to be. The only one that sort of maintained at all was Meatwad.
Yeah, Meatwad was the only one I was like, oh, that's the same. Sounds like the same, kind of acts the same.
Same dude, same everything. But yeah, weird. And none of Frylock had those weird fucking legs. No, I'm not on board with that. I don't like it.
Weird.
Well, I bet at first too they were like, how do we make him walk? And then, by the time I'm sure they got to the show, they were like, they'll just float around. Yeah.
He will float. It's what he does. It's his thing. But from there, then you've got fucking like Powerpuff Girls got a soft start. There's an episode.
Powerpuff Girls.
What?
You said Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah. Or it may have already been a thing. So it's S2E1. It's the like Cartoonathon or something. They have it's the first time you see the what is it? The Council of Doom show up with the actual villains.
Brack.
Brack
Yeah.
shows up in the Council of Doom. But what they're doing for this show is Space Ghost is reviewing new cartoons on Cartoon Network and the directors of those. So Jindy shows up, and they
What?
talk Dexter's Lab for a little bit.
God damn. I fucking love
Yeah.
Jenny. I love that man.
Yeah, he's very funny in this too. He gives like 1 to 2 word answers about everything. It's kind of great. And Space Ghost yells about directors and cartoonists, and he gets irritated and annoyed with everybody that comes up. And by the time they get to Powerpuff Girls, and he's showing clips from all of these, right? It is literally like a nanosecond of a clip. You just see them like blast through the air for like half a second, and then it's done. All right, well, we've seen that. But they win the Council of Doom's way of judging. So at the end of the episode, there's like a 10-minute Powerpuff Girl episode that shows up at the end of it. It's crazy.
Damn.
Weird.
Yes, this show
Yeah.
really did start off a lot of things. So, I mean, I'm assuming this show was the first one to repurpose all this Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
It feels like it. It feels like it. But that was another weird thing that was happening in like the mid 90s up into the early 2000s, because what is it? Spike TV had MXC.
Oh, was that like the game show they overdubbed?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I love that show.
Takeshi's Castle or whatever. So they would get actual episodes of that, and then they would just overdub it.
Yeah.
And make it goofy and have fun with it.
Damn, I kind of want to watch that later. I haven't watched that in a long time.
So I'll tell you a story. Let me tell you, and it's a quick MXC story. I'm sorry, we are, as Leo would once say, we are side questing. But so me and my buddy Justin, he comes up to Oregon. It's his first trip up to Oregon, right? Hadn't really flown anywhere. Hadn't really whatever. At the time, I had a pretty decent connect for some leaf, some good shake, right? And what I would do is it would be like three finger gallon bags of just shake, right? So I was making a lot of butter. A lot of tinctures. Always had edibles
Hey,
on hand.
that's a good thing to do with shake. I mean, you could
seriously?
smoke it, but I mean, it's better to do what you're doing.
No. I was making butters, bro.
Yeah.
And so I knew he was coming up, and I made some amazing butter, like to a point to where like I had packed this shit in so good. It was dark green, like just dark green. It changed the entire level of consistency of the butter I was working with. And then I made cookies, and the cookie recipe that I was using, it was like, oh, you can make like 12 small cookies out of it. So what do? I make 4 ginormous fucking cookies. Like that's the way I would bake. So anyway, I'm making some cookies. We each eat a half of one, and we're up late. And that was the first night I ever watched Zeitgeist. And then we started watching MXC. Okay. Very much a head trip, right? You go from like religion is a sham, money is made up and fake as well. Like all of it sucks. The world around you has been crafted to keep you from being human, to watching MXC and just giggling our fucking balls off, right? Greatest thing I ever saw. Okay, the greatest thing I ever saw in MXC. There's a little dude, and he was doing the one where you jump on it. You jump on this rolling thing, and you have to roll as far as you can without going over the edge, right? It's the whole thing. And you go over the edge, and you fall into some water or some mud or whatever it is. The guy gets it. He goes down. He doesn't fall off the edge. He gets the furthest. He wins. He rolls off of the little thing that he's on, the little platform that he's on, rolls off of it, and then turns around with his back to the camera and stands like, arms out, legs outstretched. And then he throws his arms behind his knees and throws his head between his legs, and he's like, "Yay, look at me." But the thing is he was wearing the spandex suit, and it cut like from his crack to his balls, and each one of his little nuts was hanging on the other side of his pants. So you got him sitting there, his head's upside down, his arms are out, and then he's got this giant seam just cutting through his sack, and like very pronounced, there, each one of his balls just hanging on the other side. Me and Justin rolling, like dying laughing, right? Next day, we take him out to the Oregon coast. We eat another cookie on the way. We get to dinner that night, and we're trying to tell Jen about this, but neither one of us can get it out of our faces. And we literally walked the table beside us. They were like, I don't know what's wrong with these two people. I don't understand it. These guys will not stop laughing and talking about testicles and like making motions of this guy going through a thing. That was probably a good 4 hours of entertainment for us.
Well, I just Googled it. MXC is streaming on Tubi.
Yes, it is.
So there you go. I know what I'm watching later. But yeah, but I love this kind of shit.
Find you some weed cookies and get lit.
But I love this shit. Like, I'm actually like jealous that like I wish I had a bunch of just like old cartoon like just stills that I can just fuck around with and make something completely different.
It's like it's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very inventive. It's very inventive. Yeah. And you take characters that nobody remembered who these people were 30 years later. There's no way.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure the original Space Ghost didn't run for very long.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. When I watched through those, there were 2 videotapes worth of episodes, and that was it.
Yeah, so this was sitting in some basement somewhere that someone probably found. It was like, oh, this shit's just collecting dust. Let's take it.
And that's the level of research here in 2024. Then one of us should take up that mantle.
Yeah,
I might have to do it to figure out like the actual history of some of these shows.
I tried to pull this just because I was like, I've always wondered who was on drugs, or what drugs was the person doing that got into this mindset to take all of these old characters and create a talk show from it and flip it on its head. And there's nothing that shows the creation of other than Mike Lazo created it. And it's like, how did Mike Lazo create it? And I can't find it to save my life.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is just that because of Adult Swim, their Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network bought Boomerang, so they had all the Hanna-Barbera, or they bought Hanna-Barbera, whatever, and and they just had all that shit already somewhere in the same facility, I'm assuming.
Everybody was high on William Street. And
or it could be a thing too where it's like are there any properties that you guys have that you don't mind us messing with? Because what if the original Space Ghost was like a Flintstones thing?
Yeah, like, I'm sure they're like, you can't fuck with Flintstones, the Jetsons, or Super Friends, but we have all these 100 other shows that were carbon copies that sit there.
Right? Like, because I bet that's partially the pitch, right? I bet that's partially the pitch. And, maybe it was fucking Droopy Dog, Yogi Bear, and they're like, nope, property's too hot, can't do it. Here, you can have this piece of garbage. Go to your little studio and make something with this, sir. Because that, to me, that feels natural. You know what I mean? Like that really does feel natural. Like, oh, what if Fred Flintstone was a late night talk show host? Maybe not him.
Yeah, maybe not Fred, but here, take our other garbage cartoons we don't want.
Yeah. Look, this one has a mantis that everybody calls a locust. Take that. So we can't really begin to dissect too much about this because the show also, as far as like branching out and doing some other things, like we did see other parts of the set, like the lunchroom, whatever, Moltar's weird little cave where he would bring the folks in.
We had that back room where he, in the banjo episode, where he was Space Ghost was growing his sea monkeys.
Banjo is one of my all-time favorites. One of my all-time favorites. Because again, here's another thing that was very popular in the 60s. Sea monkeys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We talked about it once
marrying
before in
all
here.
of these things. But they did that, not the same gag, but a similar gag with Zorak and is it Randy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Liz?
No.
When Zorak's little nephew comes to the set? Okay.
Oh, wait. I can't think. Is his name Randy?
I think his name is Randy, if I remember correctly. But Zorak's little nephew comes to set one day, and it is literally Zorak, but just smaller. Just smaller. And the voice is a little bit higher pitched, but he is hell-bent on creating bedlam. And I don't know, they pack so much into 10 minutes, and then they still have time for goofy fucking interviews. Like, it's the best show. It's the best show. But we haven't gotten to what is it, the launch for Brack. It introduced us to the Brack show.
Yeah, so I don't
Well,
think I've ever
to Andy Merrill, period. Like, Andy Merrill was eventually executive producing this or producing this in some way. And then he was shooting out, not just, it introduced us to Brack and the council, but Lokar.
Yep.
Too. Like, the Lokar fucking kills me.
So in the I forget the name of it. It's the one with the Elvira interview where Evil Space Ghost comes in and it's Chad and Tad. Yeah, exactly. Right. With his weird, dirty little chin.
It's so good.
But Space Ghost evil brother Chad, it's Ghostly is his last name, right? It's Ghostly. Yeah, okay. And Space Ghost's real name is Tad Ghostly. What?
Tad.
Tad. Of all things. But anyway, at the end of that episode, we're introduced to yet a third Space Ghost, which is actually Lokar in a Space Ghost costume. And he's so tiny, he's so small, and he's, no, I am Space Ghost. And I think it's Moltar that goes, the bit's been done. It's been done to death. Stop it. And he finally exposes himself as a Lokar. Whatever. This show is so dumb. It's so dumb, but it's
I just
so
found
fun.
him. His name is Raymond.
Raymond, not Randy. Raymond. There you go.
There was some
Poor
episodes I
fella.
was watching that was like kind of like a clip show version, but then I was like, is this a real clip show or are they just like pretending to be a clip show?
You don't know.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, but honestly, I think I want to say it's not a real clip show.
Because there's the one where like Space Ghost is gone, and then it's like the other little green guy who was just talking shit about the Space Ghost show, and then he just starts like airing interviews. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think that's an actual clip show. I don't think it's like clips. I mean, it is clips. What I think it might be is portions of interviews that they still had.
Oh, okay.
Because there's also a thing, oh God, the lady from The Price is Right. They bring her back a few times. And they use like one or two clips repeatedly. But she's the one who had the scandal in the 90s with Bob Barker. She was one of the Price is Right girls. Her name's Diana something, I think. But anyway, they would reference her throughout the first like 2-3 seasons a lot. like a lot. She became like a running joke on the show. Who else? Bob Goldthwait makes multiple appearances. Bobcat shows up a lot throughout this.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll see people come back, and then I'm like, was this the same interview that they just took like another piece of and just brought it back like a season later or episode later?
Dude, very well could have been.
Yeah,
it's that weird ass editing.
Because like I remember one episode where they had the mask, they had like the director and Jim Carrey on, and then it was like almost a season later, they had Cameron Diaz on there, and it was the same, like looked like the same mask, like interview, like the fucking press tour, because they had the same background, but it was like a whole full season later.
So that should answer your question right there, bro.
Yeah.
They got them both in the same day, and rather than just keep pimping the mask over the course of that year, they're like, we've got consent to use this. Let's put Cameron Diaz on the back burner until we find a story to make it work. Like little stuff like that. Like if you go through your archives where you've got a bunch of talking head stuff, you can make all of that work. You can make all of that work for years, and not have to go back.
So I'm assuming then they just get all these interviews first. Like they'll just fucking like interview people for like probably like a year, and then just like pick and choose
and start pounding them out.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying about like having certain scenarios, because in the Mr. Show one where they have Bob and Dave on, Space Ghost takes out his spank ray. And he zaps Bob Odenkirk. He's like, "Don't make me use this." And Odenkirk's like, "Do it, just zap me in the face." And David Cross is like, "No, I don't want that. I don't want anything to." So David Cross is like leaning away, and then Odenkirk gets zapped, and he's like, "Oh, that feels kind of good." And then they have this little back and forth, Bob and Dave, about, does the spank ray really feel good? Is it a thing? Is that whatever? And then Dave's like, should I take one? Should I get it to the face? And then Space Ghost gives it to him, and he's like, no, I said no, I didn't really want it. And then they do a bit about their sinuses getting switched because of the spank ray. And then Space Ghost, like, that's a wonderful thing about some of the improv too, is the celebrities will say a thing, and then Space Ghost is like, no, terrible idea. That's not how this works.
Or he just gets mad at him and just points his laser at him like he's just ready to shut him up and zap him.
And how many times did Willie Nelson come back on this? Okay? Like, that's the other thing is you talk about people, and the Willie ones, he came back 2 or 3 times. They got him a couple of times. Like it is not the same.
Yeah, there was
setup.
one episode I watched where he didn't even talk. They just kind of like show his face for a bit, and then he just fizzes out.
So, I mean, out of the ones you watched, I know I put Gilligan on the list.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the Gilligan's Island one?
Yeah, they had the whole cast on there, which is fun.
Amazing. The professor comes back in a weird way later on, as in the girly show, which I think is like S2E3 is the girly show, where he has on Fran Drescher, I forget the middle one, and then Alice Cooper. And he's upset that Alice Cooper Carol Channing. Fucking Carol Channing. But anyway, Fran Drescher is the first guest. Space Ghost falls madly in love with her during the interview, finds out she has a husband, and then he's sad for the rest of the episode. And Zorak is sitting there like teasing him about being in love with Fran Drescher. He then tries to hit on Carol Channing, who originally seems very receptive to it, and he's like, "Can we go steady?" And she's like, "Absolutely not." And then she fucks off. And then by the time he gets to Alice Cooper, he's touting Alice Cooper as this female maven in rock and roll, and fucking then you see Alice Cooper, and he's like, "You're not a woman." "No, not a woman." What is this? You have a woman's name. You wear makeup." Well, we all sort of wear makeup sometimes. It's amazing.
Who's the comedian lady with the fucking, what is it called? The fucking whatever. What is those like piano?
Judy Tenuta.
Yeah, there we go. I'm glad you got my hand motions.
The accordion.
The accordion. Thank
Very
you. I
good.
don't know why I was
Judy.
blanking what accordion was. But I remember she makes a joke about like sitting on his face, and then they like cut the Space Ghost, and is like they made him all blushy. They gave him the rosy cheeks.
She came back a few times, and like Judy Tenuta is a very like only 90s. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
one of the
Yeah.
There were a lot of
90s
people here I
people
did
did
not
it.
remember or recognize at all. And her, I was like, I have no idea who this person is at all.
But she did a hell of a Roseanne Barr impersonation.
Yeah, she was hilarious. I was just like, wow, this chick's funny. I have no idea who this person is. Just,
She literally just showed up on things back then and was just loud and obnoxious and funny and had that accordion.
Sometimes that's all you have to be, right?
I guess.
That's why James keeps letting me come back.
Yeah, exactly. You just need the accordion.
You don't have the accordion, yeah.
Yet.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. Actually, all right. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh
Hang
no, is Ben getting an accordion right now?
Oh God. He's about to go full metal Weird Al.
Oh man, I mean the Weird Al episode was also pretty funny. I mean, of course
It's a
Weird
good
Al would be
one.
on this show. You know, this show kind of fits Weird Al. So yeah, I mean, do you have a favorite guest in this, Liz?
He's on there very briefly, but I do like the Timothy Leary episode a lot, and I like the one that they've dedicated to the jazz guitarist that does the theme song, and Thurston Moore is on as he has like a
Oh my
fake
god!
name. Oh my god.
I can't believe you actually own an accordion. I can't believe you literally own an
Does it
accordion.
make you happy now?
No.
What?
How the hell
No?
did you just spawn an accordion?
What? No, not for you. This isn't what you want. All right, I'll put it away. But I have the accordion, is what I'm saying.
I never
Like,
knew you
that's-
owned an accordion. Is that new?
What?
Is that new?
No, bro. It's very old. It's a long story. We don't need to get into it. But it's just don't ever say that I don't have the accordion, because I have the accordion.
My
Next
God.
time, if you dare me, I'll break out the fucking theremin.
Oh man.
Yeah, it'll be a party. Listen, I do. I had a thing for a while where I just collected weird instruments that I don't know how to play and that I'll never learn how to play, but I have them. And the
Well,
theremin was a very
it's a
stone
good
purchase.
it's a good movie prop.
It is. It's perfect. You can throw it in the background to anything. It's beautiful, right? And then it makes weird noises as people hold it. Like, it's fun. For a
And
sound guy, you're gonna be fucked if we do that.
yeah, the accordion sounds that sounds terrible.
And then just the sheer background noise of it just bonking around
yeah.
the whole time, just like, in the middle of everything.
But it would be kind of
Yeah, it's
funny
a-
watching someone sad walk away with an accordion, where it's like.
Yeah. But don't threaten me that I don't have the accordion.
Well, now we know. If we ever want an accordion here live on air, we got just a really loud accordion.
I'm sorry, guys. I told you guys I'm on my own this week. All right.
Well, what was your favorite interview in this Space Ghost?
Oh man. There are too many amazing ones, really and truly. One of the ones that stands out to me is in Freak Show. You guys watch Freak Show, right? It's where they have the live action guy who keeps breaking in. He's
Yeah,
pirating.
that one's awesome. Yeah.
It's a really good episode. but I also really love it because they have the yodeler on. And then the last interview, Moltar, do we have anybody else here? No, I don't. Oh, wait, there's this one guy. And then it's fucking Bill Manspeaker from Green Jello.
Just in a really high-pitched voice.
Where's Space Ghost? I want to talk to Space Ghost. Are you out there? And then I'm here, and then all the girls are around, and they just throw money at us.
Yeah.
Wow, where's Space Ghost? So, like, I love that, but I'm also a huge Green Jello mark. So, you know, whatever.
So did he play shows dressed like that?
Used to. That was oh God, it's the character from the Electric Harley House of Love song. I forget the character's name. It might be an early version of Fender Stax, maybe. But yeah, he would wear garb like that during that time for sure.
That's awesome.
He would throw on the full toucan suit back in the day too, when they would do Serial Killer. And the refrain goes, "Toucan, son of Sam. Toucan, son of Sam." It's
but
all
still
about...
to have like a guy who's a yodeler, then to have fucking Green Jello on there, all while this like incel-y dirt is like taking over the feed. It's pretty like that's a great episode.
It's fairly epic, right? I like.
Then he brings his
Al
friend
stuff.
on too, where he's just like, yeah, and he wants an autograph. But not from you, Space Ghost, from Zorak.
From Zorak. I mean, and to me, Zorak is sort of the breakout star. I know Brack is the one that got his own show, but Zorak for me is what sort of sells the whole thing. But as far as the interviews go, like I don't know, dude. Like Willie Nelson was always good on there. Like Penn and Teller are great in their episode. Like.
Yeah, when Teller does his like silent bit, like when Teller does his like silent bit to Space Ghost, it's pretty funny. He just gets mad and storms off. It just walks away.
And that's the thing. I think there's too much good for me, at least, to really kind of pick through as far as that goes, because the question always remains. Who's in on the bit, who's not? If you ever watch the Bjork one, I think she's genuinely confused about what is going on and just starts rolling with it, but is like, whatever, And I love the fact that this is literally like my teenage wet dream, is this show, just because it's literally everybody from pop culture that I ever cared about.
Yeah, one show.
With one exception, here's what I'll tell you. Okay, while I can't necessarily put a finger on my favorite one, I'll tell you who I would have loved to have seen on this show, because I think he would have got the bit, but he died before it happened. And that was Kurt Cobain.
Oh. That would have been
in watching this, there is such a part of me that's like, I honest to God think Space Ghost, Kurt Cobain interview would have been one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So you think he would have been in on it, or just like totally just like, why the fuck am I here?
I think he would have loved it. I think he would have loved every fucking second of it. And you know why? He was big buddies with Bob Goldthwait, right?
Okay.
Bob Goldthwait actually opened for Nirvana.
Oh, weird.
Are you right? So in the 50s, 60s, way less in like the 70s, and by the time the 80s came around, it just wasn't a thing anymore. But used to, bands would tour with comedians, and the comedians would open and then bring the band out, right? I want to say it's in like the 92 or 93 tour. Nirvana had Bob Goldthwait open their shows. All right. Crowds hated him. Hated the fact that, like, here's all these grunge guys out there, they're all flanneled up, ripped jeans and everything. And then here's this wacky guy from fucking Police Academy yelling at them in this weird voice. They said Kurt would sit behind the speakers while Bobcat was doing his thing and would just crack up at how much the audience hated Bobcat and would force him to like do his time regardless. But he said he thought that was the funniest bit, was how poorly Bob did in front of the crowds.
Well, yeah.
So I think he would have loved it. I think he would have been so on board with it.
Well, yeah, that would have been sick if that ever happened. My favorite guest, I mean, obviously, my favorite one is the Kevin Smith bit. I think that's like pretty funny. I mean, that whole episode's also funny because it opens up with Ben Stiller, and then he's like so awkward because immediately, at first I was like, I don't think Ben Stiller is in on it. Like he just seemed like he didn't want to be there. Then as the interview goes on, he kind of gets into it more. But I think like Zorak says something about like eating his face to Ben Stiller. And then the Kevin Smith one's just funny because he was like totally in on it. Like when he just goes like Zorak, yeah, and then Zorak's like Kevin, yeah, and they just like go back and forth for a bit, and then he just gets set on fire.
It's it's those little things. Like I think if you give the right person, the right performer, just the slightest nudge. And if there's like a level of familiarity with the property at all, oh no, dude, I can hear Kevin Smith go, no, dude, fucking, I love this show. I've been watching it. Can my bit be that I ignore Space Ghost and I'm just mark out to Zorak? Can I fucking do that? Can I just do that? You guys can do something with that, right?
Yeah, because this is like prime time. This is like early Kevin Smith where he's like now like gotten popular and. Like I feel like this is the kind of zeitgeist he was in, was being on this show.
This is, it's what, post Clerks?
Because he only said he directed 3 movies, which was Clerks, Mallrats, and Chasing Amy. In the interview.
There you go, done. So I mean, he's at his height.
Yeah.
At his height, he had what, 2 more good movies in him?
I mean, hey, I love Clerks too. I'll always love Clerks too, forever. And Jay and Silent Bob, the first one, is great.
See, I was thinking Dogma, and I was thinking, Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah,
I love Dogma.
Dogma's great.
Dogma's probably my favorite Kevin Smith movie.
And the first because it's all like locked up in Weinstein nonsense, so we'll probably never see it streaming or released again, ever.
So sad.
But yeah, I mean, that was my favorite interview on the show. I mean, I said, this show is just fucking so wacky, man. Like, even, like, the little bits, like, when it came to, like, Banjo, when he just went off and, like, grew a sea monkey, and then the giant monster just and then, like, he had to kill it, and he was like, look what you made me do.
Look, we always hurt the ones we love. Yeah. Banjo! I don't think it was on the list, but it was the Kentucky Shark. Did you see that at all?
That's a great episode. That's got Willie Nelson in it.
It does. It does. So the conceit, James, is that there is a weird shark on set. Nobody knows where this shark has come from, but Space Ghost swears it's been sitting there for a year. And Zorak he's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember it being there at all. And he's like, yeah, it's been here for like a whole year. And then Space Ghost makes up some lie about what Zorak said about it. And then Moltar pipes up and he goes, I don't remember it either. What'd I say? Just like, what did I say about it? Do you remember what I said about it? Dumbest thing ever. And then when Willie Nelson pops up, Space Ghost picks up the shark and is like sort of stuffing it up at the TV, trying to make Willie Nelson say hello to the Kentucky Shark. It's so bizarre. So bizarre. I don't know. It shouldn't exist. Like, this show should not exist. We don't deserve it.
Now, like, what I was thinking too, because now look at Adult Swim, now they have the Eric Andre show, which I feel like, I mean, it's not this, but it's like obviously they're like, it feels like the next step of like how we can make even a talk show even more wackier, even shorter.
So, it feels like a natural progression from this to that, right?
Yeah.
But it is I think it's that thing for me, like as much as I love, and I do love the Eric Andre show, it is so random, so wild. It's magnificent. However, this is where I do think that like Adult Swim, it used to just be animation, right?
Yeah.
And then they slowly
I remember
started
it
working
always being animation, like weird animation shows, like they were 10 minutes long, and then anime. Like those are the two things I remember Adult Swim the most. It was like adult, 10-minute long, fucked up cartoons, and then anime.
And I don't know where it happened, but then you get shows like what is it? There's that Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
That
I do remember
you
that.
know-
That was late. I remember that would air at like 3 a.m. Or,
Yeah.
like real late.
it's a funny
And they showed
show.
Dark Place.
Yup.
And
Yup. But when did it start becoming more sort of like live actiony?
That's true. I guess I don't really remember. Like, I just remember they're just being
Tim
show-
and Eric was the
Yeah.
springboard
Yeah, probably Tim and
for-
Eric. Yeah.
live action for actual shows to come in and cartoons to kind of exit.
And I kind of feel like maybe those shows are probably also cheaper to make than doing an animated show weekly, even for 10 minutes.
That would make sense.
I mean, especially if it is like let's say an Eric Andre or a Tim and Eric, you only have to pay like a very small crew. And then if the creators of the show are also the stars of the show and are also directing the show, the people you have to pay gets cut down a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot.
Yeah.
But Tim and Eric, though, that's the other thing that I will say about that show, at least, while it may not be necessarily like traditional animation, they did work in a lot of like editing stuff, a lot of, visual sort of elements to it, right? That felt more animated than necessarily, some of these other shows that we've talked about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Tim and Eric does feel like a live action cartoon most of the time.
It's just surreal.
Yeah.
It's so out there that it does feel very cartoonish.
Yeah. Yeah. But nothing in this, I think Space Ghost Coast to Coast marries live action or reality with cartoon in an amazing way. In like a really, really amazing way. And I know I
agree.
talked about it at the beginning, but I forget the specific episode. But there's one where they really just sort of shatter the fourth wall. And it's still Space Ghost animated sitting at his desk. But they sort of pull out from that set and the lights go out. And you can see like sort of the corner of the desk where it's real. But what they show you is the green screen behind it and below it. Like the camera starts to pull out a little bit. So you see the pedestal that the set is sitting on, right? You see the window. That's a real window that you're looking out of. Like it's got the bars in it and you can see the segments and everything, but it's all green screen behind it. And then what you see are the actual crew members walking behind the set. And you see how small it actually is. It's a miniature.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Like, I wish I saw that.
I'll have to find out which episode it is, and I'll send it to you direct. But it's like you literally see them walking behind it, and it's just like legs and shoes as you're walking by, and Space Ghost is sitting all sad with his little, like, head in his hand at the desk as the lights are out. It's a really neat little effect. But I think they blended enough, like, real set with animation, with live interviews that it is like.
And see, I saw some stuff that looked a little bit too like early, like 3D renders too. That was some of the space stuff. So you got some of that in there too.
So they marry. It's like truly like a mixed media mishmash of stuff,
which is awesome. I mean, like, I wish. I mean, I feel like this could still work today.
Oh,
but
yeah.
only if it's Space Ghost.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think Space Ghost could totally like. I'm surprised it's not still a thing. Like, I feel like Space Ghost could have gone even further than this season. But it's got 11 seasons. Like I think it could still. They could have just kept pushing that even till today.
They could have packed in another 2 or 3. 100%. 100%. Or maybe it just never ends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just keeps going forever. You know, like 'cause I feel like this is a show you could do forever.
Like and arguably better than The Simpsons too, because he never has to age. He doesn't have to whatever. Yeah. Like pop culture still is pop culture no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-oh.
What are you saying? Uh-oh.
Oh, my computer is starting to go so slow right now.
Yeah, I know. You've been lagging. I mean, your voice isn't lagging, which is great, but your face has been lagging. So I think I'm going to start rolling out the show before you crash.
Before it completely cuts out.
So let's start with you, Liz. What are you giving the show? What are your final thoughts here?
Beyond our highest ranking.
Damn, so you're going harder than...
I really enjoy coming.
Harder than an orgasm.
Hell yeah. So what are your final thoughts on it? What do you got to tell people?
That it's not just a show for stoners that are old farts like me. I mean, this is a show that transcends age. My kids find it funny.
Now, do your kids still find it funny with also not recognizing a lot of the guests, you know?
Well, see, my kids are a lot different than most kids because they do recognize the kids, recognize the guests. As my oldest was particularly tickled about Tom York on the Bjork episode because my oldest is a Radiohead fan. So I think that for what it is, this show kickstarted so much. The show kickstarted so many careers too.
Yeah.
And it has such a special place in my heart because of that, but just because of what it meant to me at the time that I discovered it and how it makes me feel like it's that funny now, going back and watching it. Like it's still that funny. It's still that entertaining. And I really love it.
Yeah, and it should live somewhere better than fucking the Sling app. This shit should
or
be...
their website that conks out, you know? Their website barely streams as it is.
Yeah, Space Ghost needs more love these days. Come on, people. Come on, Max.
It's a shame.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Who are you? What are you doing?
Ben Johnson, before you disappear on us, what are you giving the show?
No. Yeah, top of the top, bro. I
really enjoy coming.
Yes. And I too want to sit on Space Ghost's face. I don't know. There are no real sort of final thoughts other than I said it when we started. I meant it then. I mean it now. It's one of, in my opinion, the few perfect shows in existence. I think it is a perfect show.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I'm going to give it the same.
I really enjoy coming.
Because, I mean, it is a perfect show, even though it's only 10 minutes an episode, too. And it's just like, even though a lot of it, too, goes by fast, like, I'll watch an episode, like, forget about it a second later, but it's just also like, I don't know, if the show feels comforting in a way, that's just, like, nice, and it's just funny, and it's just, like, there's not a lot of, like, bullshit in it, and it's just, like, this, I don't know how else to describe it, it just feels comforting to me when I watch it. It's just like just a good time, always, just around.
And you get all of that in that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need any more than that.
There are points in this, too, though, like I know we talk a lot about a bunch of cartoons, especially with Cartoon Network, that are 10 minutes that go so quickly that it's too much to keep up with. This show does not mind sitting in silence.
No, I was saying earlier, it's like they'll have celebrity interviews and it'll just be awkward silence for almost a minute sometimes.
And still it packs in additional story and everything else. It's amazing.
Like I forgot to mention it before, but my favorite episode is the one with the insult comic dog, where he talks about Triumph. Yeah, with Triumph, when he's like talking about like fucking Lassie in the ass, and then And then Space Ghost just goes, "I too fucked a dog in the ass," and then like cuts to like the beeping, and then he goes to like the director, and he's just like, "You can't say that on national TV. Come on, what are you doing?"
What are you doing?
He's in his coffee.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. It's a special show. It's a very, very special show. But James, before I really do conk out, because now I can see how bad my video has gotten. What's next week?
Next week. So to keep it up, man, we're gonna have our first guest of the year, our first Toonular guest of 2024. I think he's still in this chat, but we got Dwayne Steeler coming on next week, baby, the man himself, and we're gonna get a master class next week. So now this is actually the first time in Toonular history that we are repeating the show. But I mean, kind of, because it doesn't really, because there's like decades of this that exist. But we're gonna get a master class in the Merry Melodies Looney Tunes from Dwayne Steeler himself.
Oh my God, yeah. So, quick question then: is the assignment to just familiarize ourselves with characters, or are there going to be specific
Dwayne is
moments?
Still here in this chat. So Dwayne, I remember he mentioned yesterday that he wanted to talk about from the 1930s to the 60s, that I guess era of the Looney Tunes. But if you got stuff you want us to watch, please send it to me, and I'll send it off to the rest of the gang.
Yeah, for sure. I'm stoked. I remember I was here for Transformers. I think I missed G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
But I listened back, and all I ever get from Steeler is nothing but straight solid info. I cannot wait.
Yeah, and Liz, you never met Dwayne before, so you get to finally meet the Whiplash
I do
Maniac.
follow him on Instagram. I think he's cool.
Hell yeah. He's the Whiplash Maniac, Dwayne Steeler. So Merry Melodies, the master class in the Merry Melodies next week. So let's fucking do it. All right, let's get out of here before Ben crashes. So
all right, last things last. If anybody's got anything to tell us, you can always reach out to us at totally.toonular@gmail.com. And keep your eyes out here. If you like, shared, and subscribed, keep it up. We're going to be adding in a little additional content as time goes on. So keep it plastered. Make sure your notifications are up. I'm going to...
Oh, I think we lost him.
And it's gone.
And he's gone. All right. Till next week, people. Peace out.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch.